Breaking news: 50 million yank and why the feds are finally treating Chicago like a management failure. So let's go ahead and get to that video.
Where a double shooting took place early Sunday morning.
America, Chicago just had a full-blown action movie weekend. Double shootings on the Red Line, police shootings at the park, a driver plowing into a window in a CTA bus, and Mayor Brandon Johnson's solution is to bring out the violence interrupters.
Violence interrupters stopped riders exiting the CTA Red Line at 79th Street. They say they'll be riding trains at all hours to be vigilant for the public.
We would like to let everybody know also if we were present, there's a chance we could have de-escalated that particular situation.
Now, for those of you that are new here and don't know what a violence interrupter is, don't worry, I'm about to explain it. And when I explain it, you'll understand exactly why Chicago looks like the way that it does.
Mayor Brandon Johnson says today wasn't about taking a victory lap. His team, the 5th District Police Department and community violence intervention groups say communication, collaboration, and coordination are the 3 keys to success.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Brandon Johnson held a round table about 3 months ago, patting himself on the back about crime going down. Then this weekend happened, and every weekend after the round table happened. It's like Boys in the Hood. When that saxophone hit, you gotta dip. What happened? Let me walk you through what a normal weekend looks like in Brandon Johnson's Chicago. Sunday morning, Red Line, 79th Street Station, a group of people get into an argument. Guns come out, obviously. 2 men shot, seriously wounded. 3 people are arrested, 2 weapons recovered. And here's the cherry on top. The CTA is already on federal notice to submit a crime reduction plan by March 19th, or get this, lose $50 million in funding.
Anybody that brings a gun on a CTA train, if it's an illegal gun, that particularly means they wanted to shoot or maybe hurt somebody. Even though at night you don't have as many people on the train, but at night that's a crime of opportunity. Most of the people that board the trains, especially the people that have criminal tendencies, criminally minded people, they may say, look, no one's out here, I'll just go for it.
The violence interrupters just described perfectly why Chicago fails. At night, with fewer people around, criminal-minded individuals think, nobody's here, I'll just go for it. And the solution isn't former gang members riding trains. It is police presence, okay? But wait, same weekend, completely different part of the city.
Officers were trying to stop a driver who was connected to a separate shooting that happened earlier in the day. I want you to take a look at this video, though. This comes from the Citizen app. We know this happened just before 6 o'clock last night near Homan and Chicago Avenue in the Humboldt Park neighborhood. Police say the driver they were trying to stop took off from police.
Connected to a separate shooting means that there were multiple incidents fueling this particular situation. At this park, a driver connected to another shooting runs into police, hits a woman, then hits a CTA bus, hits an unmarked squad car. Officers open fire, suspect dies, and they find a gun in his car. 2 completely separate violent incidences. 1 weekend, 1 city. Okay, now I have to explain this because if you're new here, you need to understand what's about to happen in Chicago and why it's not going to work. Violence interrupters. Here's the concept. You take people from the community, and I mean from the community, former gang members, felons, maybe even current or former drug dealers, and you pay them city money to ride trains. to step in when things get heated. No, not police, not trained law enforcement. No, a street guy, a former gang member, getting a government paycheck. And look, I'm not saying every single one of them have bad intentions, but if you've been following this channel for some length of time, you already know we've covered stories about these quote unquote violence interrupters getting caught still doing hood rat things while it's on the city's dime. Same people hired to stop crime are committing crime. Make it make sense.
They say they've already intervened and prevented shootings on CTA trains. And we have this information just in from the Chicago Police Department. 18-year-old Maurice Dodd of Chicago has been charged with one felony weapons charge and also resisting and obstructing a Chicago police officer. Chicago police have stepped up their patrols across the CTA system.
They say nobody verified this. There's no data. They say they've been preventing shootings. No verification, no data, no accountability, just their word. And Chicago's paying for it with your tax dollars while the guy who just got shot riding the red line is in the hospital.
18-year-old Maurice Dodd of Chicago faces multiple charges, and the CTA is on notice. The Federal Transit Administration directed the CTA to submit an aggressive crime reduction plan by March 19th or face losing as much as $50 million in federal funding. This came after the horrific burning of a female CTA passenger and a fatal stabbing on the Blue Line. Violence interrupters say they want to be part of crime prevention.
So the one suspect has unlawful weapons charges, but did they get the shooter?
Not sure. They did arrest 3 people right after the shooting. Police say this investigation is not over yet.
Notice the reporter said investigation is not over. They charged an 18-year-old with weapons possessions, obviously not shooting. They still haven't confirmed they got the shooter, which means the person who actually pulled the trigger on 2 men, possibly, maybe, is still walking around Chicago right now. Now here's the part I need you to pay real close attention to, because this is the part where Chicago politicians do what they do best: manipulate the numbers.
Homicides are down 25%. Shootings have dropped 15.4%. Robberies are down 23.5%. Carjackings have fallen nearly 67%. Police have also recovered more than 40% more guns so far this year than at this point last year. City leaders say it's proof the strategy is working.
They're simply throwing up numbers, not explaining how they're being calculated. Oh, don't worry, guys. Crime is down. Fantastic. Then explain this weekend. Explain last weekend and the weekend before that and every other weekend in Chicago, because those numbers look great on a freaking spreadsheet and terrible on the ground. And obviously, here's what they won't tell you about Chicago's crime statistics. When there aren't enough cops to respond to calls, crimes, obviously they don't get reported properly. When you reclassify aggravated assaults as simple assaults, the violent crime number miraculously goes down. When you uncategorize incidences, your stats, wow, miraculously look better, and your city looks safe on paper, while residents are getting shot in the back on a train. Chicago has been bleeding officers for years. We're talking about retirements, resignations. The morale is absolutely in the gutter. Fewer cops means obviously fewer reports. Fewer reports means better statistics for the politicians. It's not actually that crime went down, it's that the system to document it collapsed.
Like, we know this is not something that can be fixed overnight or happens overnight. This is why we've been intentional about working together with all our community partners over here.
Not something that they can fix overnight. They've been saying this for a freaking decade. That phrase has been said by every single mayor in Chicago since Harold Washington. Meanwhile, the families of 2 men shot on the Red Line this Sunday aren't interested in your timeline.
In 2025 alone, 197 mediations were conducted. 44% were resolved with no retaliation expected. More than 1,000 Austin youth were hired through One Summer Chicago.
Let's do the math that they don't want you to do. 197 mediations. They're celebrating 44% success rate. That means 56% of disputes that they intervene still have retaliation expected. More than half, and they want to give credit for that. I want to ask you guys in the chat, in what world is 44% a success rate? If your mechanic fixed your car 44% of the time, You need to find a new mechanic. Now, I saved the best for last. 3 months ago, remember that, Brandon Johnson sat down the head of a round table on the 5th District Police Station. Let's see what he said.
This is probably by far the first time that we've had a police administration that, in my opinion, have seen the community as an asset and not as an adversary, and they've worked to build relationships.
This, my friends, is a low bar, and it's still not working. A community leader saying this is the first time police have seen this community as an asset. The first time, you guys. Chicago has been dealing with this for 50 years, and right now, it's the first time. That's not a compliment. That is an indictment of every single administration before Johnson, and a warning that whatever they're doing now is not enough either.
Reducing violence is not limited to reducing shootings and homicides. These folks around this table, we're trying to transform communities, right? And so if violence is less in a community, but people don't have meaningful jobs or access to health care, that association with violence is still material.
He just redefined reducing violence to include jobs and healthcare. So he never has to fail on safety. There it is, the escape hatch. Brandon Johnson just told you that reducing violence isn't just about shootings. It's about jobs. It's about healthcare access. Which means when two men get shot on the red line, he can point to a summer job program and say, "We're working on it, my friend." You can't hold him accountable for crime because he's changing the definition of success.
This cell phone video provided to ABC7 shows the tense moments that led up to that shooting, and we want to warn you, it may be difficult to watch.
Hey, don't shoot him, son. Hey.
Witness cell phone video shared with ABC7 shows Chicago police officers with guns drawn, pounding on the doors of a white Mercedes. Officers are heard yelling, "Get out of the car." Then 6 gunshots were fired.
Once the shots went off, I yelled for her to run in the house. And then we just hid in the house for a few minutes until it cleared off.
That is a quote-unquote safe city for Brandon Johnson. This is what he's building. Neighbors ducking for cover while police chase ends in a shooting. And the media is running with police should have de-escalated the situation when the driver was fleeing a separate shooting and hit a woman on the street. America, here's what nobody wants to say out loud. Chicago doesn't have a crime problem. Chicago has a government problem. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
The Federal Transit Administration is threatening to pull $50 million from the CTA if they don't fix crime by March 19th. That is a federal agency telling Chirac that they failed so badly at basic public safety that Washington needs to step in. And Brandon Johnson's answer? More violence interrupters, you guys. More round tables. More statistics measured by mediations instead of arrests. More redefining what safe means so the numbers look better. Here's the prediction, and mark my words. March 19th comes and goes. Johnson submits a 5-page plan with bullet points about community transformation. The feds accept it, and nothing changes because change would require admitting the approach is wrong. And Democrats, they can't do that. Meanwhile, the same 18-year-old who got arrested on 79th Street, he'll be out before the cameras leave the scene. The city's not broken because of lack of programs. It's